Okay, so we're live. I'm talking to Jairo Ruiz, old friend of mine. It is Sunday, January 21st, 12:48 start time. How are you, Jairo?
Doing well, thank you.
We just did establish that, but anyway. uh, we've known each other for a while, but I don't know everything about you. So maybe set us up. Where were you born? Sort of your family situation, and something about where you lived, and how you came up.
Born and raised in Parksville, Brooklyn, New York. Family of the oldest of three siblings. Definitely age gap between my brother and sister yeah, just pretty straightforward, I guess, as far as family is concerned. Um, I'm really religious. I think they were Catholic, and I was baptized. That's all. As far as that.
Both from Guatemala?
Yeah, my parents are from Guatemala. Spoke Spanish at home growing up, and once I started public school, I switched to it. Then you grew up.
and then there you were, right?
And there I was. But yeah, so just public schools most of my life.
Attended Brooklyn College, and that's how we met.
There was a little gap in between me trying to get my life together, so to speak. Some ups and downs. Eventually landed on high school. Not too many, not too long, but still just a few. Yeah, and then Brooklyn College, and I just kind of swarmed it. And I tried to really get my feet. I did 4 years, so I didn't want to do that whole 6 to 8 year plan. So
right.
It was pretty much non-stop since I started back in 6, 7. I graduated. So, like, worry about it. 99, 2000, one of those I graduated. But yeah, 4 years flat. So, like, let's say 96 to 2000. About that.
Okay. Quick question. When we met, you were there at Brooklyn College. You had met Jen, and we met through her. You were already into music. You were already playing. You were, I don't know if you were playing in bands or whatever. We'll get to that. But you were already playing. You were already into music. I kind of know the music you were into. And I guess you were already a bit of a scenester in terms of going out and seeing shows and stuff like that. But when did that actually start for you? When did serious music interest happen?
Well, I got into music since an early age, just naturally drawn to it. And I want to say sometime in junior high school, year, middle school. I think the way I remember it started with me seeing some video. I think the band was Wasp. It was Blind in Texas. Was the name of the song. Back in the day, I used to watch. I got this hip hop show. It was a hip hop show on public access television that we played much more like the top 40. So at that time, I was getting the radio by one. I would always listen to top 40. So I got to Michael Jackson, Big N. It was a good mixture of bands. But even though I listened to it all, I was always drawn more to rock. So, yes, watching that show, man, I wish I remember the name of it. It was a public access television show I used to watch after school.
Was it U68 channel? U68?
I don't know. I remember the DJ's voice was a low, monotone voice that always introduced me. It's like a Soul Train type of voice. But it was just, if you never saw the guy, it was just a voiceover, basically introducing videos. I want to say that's where I've seen it, or it was because this kid I went to school with him. weird talking about all the stuff in back actually. Gave me maybe a recorded VHS of videos. Awesome. I remember the hair. I remember that's what I wanted to do. Hair out. I didn't like that. So definitely either at like the end of middle school, beginning of high school, that fade started. I said to myself, I want to be a rock star.
Okay.
Now I have to do the math. What's still our numbers? 89, but that's kind of how my interest in wanting to be a rock star. I always listened to music and everything. I don't know that I wanted to do it like thing. Until then, I started to do it like full on, go on tour. So yeah, I would say around school.
Let's take back for a second. So it started a bit early, let's say junior high. Like a lot of us who saw um, images and heard like, maybe some slightly overdriven, what we thought at the time is hard music. And you thought, oh, okay, that looks cool. What about when did you start to seriously play out? And can you give me a list, which is for you going to be extensive, if you can remember the list of the bands that you played with and the names?
Man, that's gonna be. So let me see. What was my first?
Like legit stuff that not necessarily you got put on wax with. Like I think you were on like like you were on people's albums and you were credited with bass and maybe some vocals or whatever, right? But just like not necessarily just that, but just sort of people you played on stage with. I know some of the names, a bunch of them. Recall any of the earlier ones?
I want to say the first band in high school, Oliver Thomas was a big. Those early years, and I think the name of the band was called Balance. And it was definitely more hard rock, four-piece
Okay.
singer, guitar player. I would have to put, man, I have a photo somewhere. I know I probably wrote it somewhere. I didn't find it in my journal. Maybe if I sit down and try to, because I was only looking specifically for water background.
Oh no, we'll get to the clubs and stuff like that, but just in terms of
Yeah,
a basic understanding of like your kind of evolution in music.
yeah. I mean, it was balanced. Typical mindset of the other guys. Oliver, like I said, he was a guitar player. All we ever did was talk about the music.
Okay.
So that guys, I forgot where he met. I was introduced to him. The usual progression is you get together, you meet, and then you find rehearsal spaces. Try to come up with money to go rehearse. We rehearse and then we look up and say, where can we play? And I can't remember who was in charge of actually submitting to see if we get shows. I think back in the day we had to submit a headshot. Yeah, that was kind of it. And then we played some shows. I think one was like a outdoor backyard show for some kids or something. Part of a
So tell me if I'm missing anything. I remember Red Jacket, right?
Yeah, that was later on.
Yeah, and then I remember Johnny Young, right?
Yeah.
And I remember what's Ed's band's name again? Sublime Groove.
Oh yes, I do.
Sublime Groove.
These are bands that I played way before.
Yeah. I mean, these are later, right? But
Yeah.
I'm just kind of going through them. And the band you played the Bob Jovi show with, what was that name again?
Oh, the Worskies.
Right.
I was living here in Nashville by then.
Right. Yeah. And then City Lights,
Subway,
right?
Subway Lights was the last band that was in.
Subway Lights. Okay. And then we're going to get into you and what you're doing later. I just wanted to sort of run those up. Those are the ones I remember. Those were later, right? Those weren't in the beginning. But Balance, you think it was the first one?
Yeah, Balance for sure was the first rock band I was in. There was another afterwards. I'm trying to remember something with Sun. That was a one and done show as well, which was so sad because just kids.
Yeah.
School. I think these happened between. I want to say the Balance was definitely while I was still in high school. And then other bands happened during my break between graduation and starting college. So that's probably a good reason why you don't know it because all that happened before you. So in Balance, I know we even played some talent night shows for other schools. That was my very first gig. Actually, now I remember, man, I got the name of the school. It was like that was all black, students, and we went and we played to them. And to our surprise, it was like, hey, they liked us. I was like, yeah. That was my first show. That's awesome. So that was because I think the drummer, what's the George? The drummer, he had some connections to that, some school stuff. So like really our first shows were at high school. I think that was in high school. No, it's been high school. I wish I remember the name of it. Might have moved down. So, that band lasted for a little bit, but I forgot why I broke up. Then after that, that Something Star, that was that was definitely also rock, very influenced my sound on it.
Okay.
So what I get to.
Okay. Between that one and Red Jacket, can you recall any?
There was something else I was working. Well, the big one that it was still like time on terrible. Sorry about that. Because the problem was I was also playing in multiple bands also. So there was In Too Deep was the last band I was officially in before I left. That was before. That was a three-piece that had funk, soul, jazz, rock all mixed into it. And Red Jacket was before that. Red Jacket was in there.
Okay.
I think we played like as a band for like 3.
So correct me if I'm wrong. The first band that you did any serious touring with was Johnny Young, right?
Johnny Young was the very first band I ever did a real serious thing. You see, like here I sent. So on January 26, 2003, I didn't hear my journal that Red Jacket was doing to bookstores. So that's some perspective, But I'm looking at a picture I sent Lisa when I was going through the journal looking for it. So, man, 2003. So not even in the 90s. That's crazy.
That's way later.
Yeah, way later. So those beginnings.
That's fine.
So that was before that. Say was the Sublime Groove. So for Sublime Groove, I done. Yeah, I think I was doing some side work like with singer songwriters and stuff like that. But as far as bands go, Johnny Young was definitely my first introduction to.
Okay. Let's shift gears again. That's a pretty good list. Balance, whatever that Something Star.
Yeah, I'll have to follow up. I know I have some reference somewhere.
Right, and then I'll put that down when you get it to me. There's Red Jacket. If you say Too Deep, was that the name of it?
In Too Deep.
In Too Deep. I think I remember that name. Okay. In Too Deep. Johnny Young, Sublime Group, Vorsi, Subway Lights. So that's a pretty good run of what you've been doing in New York and where you are now. Oh, that's one thing we didn't get to. Jairo is in Nashville, Tennessee. This is being recorded for transcription, so I may not be the one transcribing it, actually. I'm just kind of getting some things down so that whoever's doing it can, get them in. I wanted to kind of shift gears into what you're doing now that I kind of know something about because I purchased something from you. But I just want you to describe it in your own words. What are you up to these days, musically?
These days, as far as music is concerned, I retired from playing for now. Now I'm pursuing my own goal of producing and creating music for soundtracks, any kind of visual media that requires that. So for now, what I'm doing is essentially just creating albums, singles of just my own music, original music, kind of portfolio. In the near future, to be optimistic, start to look for work essentially as a freelance, same thing concept.
Sorry, you had broken up for a second there. Can you repeat the last thing you said?
So essentially writing a bunch of original music as a portfolio, and in the future start to venture out the network, try to find work closer for that kind of visual media, whether it's film or whatever.
Right. A lot of artists these days are going in that direction. I've seen hip hop artists trying to actually branch out in the same way. So it's pretty interesting. So, okay, next thing up. In doing that now, you're not playing out anymore, right? And you're not doing sessions, is that correct?
Right. I mean, my own sessions here, like my own recording.
No, your own stuff. But I mean, you're not playing on anybody else's stuff for them. Okay. I know you don't have a ton of time anyway, so it's better to focus on your own stuff. So the last thing that you did was that City Lights besides Stalk the Owls? City Lights was the last thing you did for other people or with other people?
Subway Lights.
Subway Lights, sorry, Subway Lights.
Yeah, that was the last band I was in. Did good shows, really good shows. I mean, we were able to get, it's unheard of, like almost overnight at some radio play. Got a lot of buzz going with the band. Ultimately, there was just some people's feet dragging to complete actual tracking of the songs, figuring out people who really time. This day and age, me and the other guys are also older, so there's not really much side to help you get these full package as soon as possible. But yeah, that unfortunately fizzled out because it was just driving. And for myself, priorities. So, to be my son.
Okay. Let's shift it back to the 90s. Okay. When you were, first off, you didn't have lessons when you started, correct?
Correct. Self-taught.
Self-taught. Have you ever gone for further instruction in your life? So basically self-taught and to sustain that good, right?
Yeah. When I played with more, obviously, as I continue to play with more talented individuals, it forced me to just get more play, the more practice, the better it got.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of us could say the same when we were playing with you, actually. back in the day, early 2000s. When Jairo gets on your project, it kind of expects you to say, wait a second, it sounds better with them on it. Maybe I should do a little bit more.
You'd be surprised though. Almost everyone I played with always said that. I always want something that made their music better. I guess that's probably the highest compliment.
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you what it was for me. It was a musicality in the bass playing, especially my formative guitar years came out of metal, right? And as you know, it's single note, 1/8, whatever, like all the way through. But you decided to play, somehow you decided to play with more musicality, more melody. Can you say something about how that came about?
I guess it's just natural. For me, that's pretty much as far as I can say. I mean, I want to say probably other influences, right? Uh, without sounding too vague, right? So it's just something that came natural.
Okay.
Being able to listen to the diverse range of music helps me create different sounds and this musicality. I don't know where I picked up some of this philosophy about recording music. Try not to replay. I'm sure I picked up stuff from watching other people, talking to other people. Always people with experience in it. Always going to teach us something. So back then, I mean, I probably listened to a lot of Iron Maiden. So you had Steve Harris on bass. There was a little time where I was listening to Red Hot Chili Peppers. That was
Please.
slap punk. Even though I don't play slap punk, but his personality at the time had some pretty good stuff. Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think of timetables too.
Right, right.
But I was
Oh,
like,
no, just in general.
um, then as things got came along, I started to notice the bass more because I picked up the bass because of necessity, because that band Balance needed a bass player. I always wanted to play guitar. That's really the big thing. I always wanted to play guitar. Listen to Whitesnake, and I wanted to play like John Sykes on that. But I ended up picking a bass because my buddies needed a bass player for the band. And I like that story. That's how I got the bass. I still do. So anyway, put along the lines, Our Lady Peace, Stone Temple Pilots, the experience for those bands, also very musical. Start to notice we had similarities. So they did not necessarily influence my playing, but instead I was realizing, oh, recognize I played like that too. That's just
Would you
yeah.
say it influenced your sensibilities more than your actual playing?
Say that again.
Would you say that it was they would have influenced your sensibilities? Sort of like, I like this, I like this, I like that, and it kind of informed what you want to do rather than I want to play like this or play like that.
Yeah, I think it probably just influence. I never set out to sound like someone. In fact, people would tell me, "Oh, you remind me of so and so." You're like, "Oh, okay, awesome." I never listened to anyone and said I want to play like that.
Right.
I play and say, "Oh, it's happened to like some members."
Okay. You covered a lot of what I wanted to cover in the beginning part here. Um, here's an opinion question for you. What was your favorite band to play with besides your own project? That's for now. What was your favorite band that you played with live? You have one?
We want to do pre or post Brooklyn.
What's that? Sorry.
We want pre or post Brooklyn.
I want the entire span, like Brooklyn and Nashville area. Like, what was your favorite experience playing with?
I mean,
Not
the worst is.
Roasty.
But I think where the way I played and my style of playing really was on another level. music itself isn't difficult. As far as playing live, and specifically playing live. As far as music wise, such a variety. For what I think a lot of that too sometimes goes with kind of gel. You know, too deep for me. It's one of my favorite because I don't know something about how we all got along. When the first time we got together, we just started jamming. Just did so well. It's like we knew what we were going to play next. How we were going to play. That's really very rare to find when you get in a room with complete strangers too. But, yeah, yeah. That's really back how I met these people. Most of these people I met through ads, looking bases. Maybe that's another part of the question too. How did I start getting money? Long story short, I forgot what we used to have back then. It wasn't Craigslist, it was something else. But I started answering ads. I want to say or something. And I started going to auditions. I did that partly to see how good I was. So, sure enough, everyone, with certain people would like my playing, but my style of clothing didn't fit their image. But, I would get, you would like to play, wear this, do that.
Yeah.
That was fun. That was like my job. I guess you know some interesting people. Sure.
Remember ads? like legit ads in newspapers. That was a thing.
I think that's really where I got it from. It must have been. Because hell, I didn't have the internet. So I think it's probably the Village Voice. Probably there. Probably the most likely place I reach out to.
Yeah, I would place my ads in the Voice to try to get like drummers and stuff like that. Fun time.
But like the first two bands were definitely school related. Like people in school. Getting involved with that. Then after that, almost all the bands after that were, your friends or a squad group or it was a junior.
Okay. Yep. So some natural sort of connections, and also, the more informal rap too.
Yeah, and that was all in New York. Here in Nashville, the only game. Yeah, I played in a few other smaller bands for a little bit, but the two bands I was in, the Worsleys, Subway Lights. But I did play. Well, there was the Lower Broads. I started playing with them after I started playing. Laser Boom. That was another. Actually, that was another fun band I liked. A lot of people. It reminded me of In Too Deep as well, where the singer was heavily influenced by the 70s glam rock and mix of. That also allowed me to really explore the bass a lot. Anything that allowed me to play a lot more on the bass, I was getting more. So, yeah, that was another.
Quick question. What was the group that you spent the longest with again?
Probably the worst thing. That was like 7, 8 years. They living in Nashville now, going on 14. So, yeah. So that started back in 2006. It's about 2006. Lasted till 18, 15, 14.
Okay. Just a side note. Put that down. Okay. Okay. Switch gears again. Um, Go back to the '90s. Did you have a lot of experience playing in the clubs of the time, like Crazy Country Club and Moores, places like that? Or were you the person that just went there, hung out, knew some of the people, whatever?
We can really see shows. I'm trying to like this I'm not sure if you can see it. Probably, bands I was into at the time. Or I went because a friend's band was playing. As far as Brooklyn was concerned, I mean, that was the only club I was in Brooklyn. As popular.
Well, you would have been young at the time, right? I mean, we're talking like 90, 1992, let's say, to 95, about. You've been pretty young. Um, I was running around in the those clubs at the time. I was like, what, like maybe like 18, 19 years old. About 95, I was more like around like 20-ish. Um, uh, did that sort of factor into you going to these places? You're like, I'm a bit young, I can't get in.
Uh, Probably, but I mean, I think they had 18 and up shows. They were probably all age shows.
They did have a bunch of all ages shows by that time.
Yeah, especially with hey, you just have a wristband to about to identify what it is. But yeah, yeah, 'cause I mean, I was born in '75, so I was also fairly young. So my years at Waterback were actually 2020. As to how come I got in there was hanging out with it was a different. They got to know me. I actually became like it was a mom and pop. Became friends with some of the locals.
Okay.
Brothers, Angel and George, Puerto Rican brothers, who love Jimmy.
I have. I don't know if you've heard of this. I'm not going to run up and go get it now because it's I'm gonna have to literally leave here, go up steps and come back. But I have an album that I bought a couple months ago. I think it's called like Brooklyn Ruled the World or something like that. And it's a bunch of bands that are recorded that were recorded. They recorded singles specifically for a compilation about waterbacks. I put it on Facebook. You can find it in my stuff. Yeah, I put the album up. I said, "Does anybody know anybody who played in these groups?" And there's one guy who his name is Jimmy Sturgis that is still still in Brooklyn, and the guy I went to high school with does know him. Um, so I might try to get at that guy, but I haven't played the album yet. But I'm wondering, did you ever hear about this? About an album on wax, an actual record that was a compilation from motorbacks around like 89, 90 or something like that.
I did not. I saw the album on your feed. That's what he commented on. But I looked at the names, and I wasn't familiar with them. So, yeah, I didn't know about it. It might have been. They might have even had it. Yeah, that was
Just wondering if you had heard about it. I actually on YouTube found a video of uh, December 30th, sorry, December 31st, 1992, Biohazard playing at Lemore's. And I found it because I actually went to that show. So I've been watching it on YouTube and it's crazy. I'm like, yeah, that's what it was like. And specifically because it's that very show that I was in. I mean, hot in the pit for, I mean, like watching that show. So there's a lot of stuff out there. I found set lists, a set list of that show on YouTube. Someone recorded it and uploaded it. I've set lists stuff like body count at Lemore's and stuff like that. There's a site that somehow did a lot of set lists for Lemore's specifically. If people are interested in that scene and that time period, which was sort of like the burgeoning alternative, Nirvana, Soundgarden, all this Seattle stuff, sort of with this underground current of like hardcore and like metal. until that big thing when it just took over everything. You know,
Yeah.
it's out there. You know, so I was kind of curious as to considering your musical tastes, especially at the time, um, how much you were sort of like in the scene of that sort of like Brooklyn, going out to shows, sort of a thing.
Yeah, it was, if I remember correctly, yeah, I mean, I spent most of my time, much as I could, out of the house. So, just trying to get around. It's hard to picture the city. That's when I used to hit the clubs a lot. See what's going on. Hit or miss. Sometimes I go with my friends just to see what we hear. And the sidewalk cafe was a good place to a
Sidewalk
lot of
Cafe.
open mics. That was the other thing too. I would attend open mics. So it wasn't hard full on show. But the weekends was full on show. The weekdays would be options. But that's the young culture. That's what I'm saying. But yeah, I think I was definitely when some of these bands we were heavily influenced by what was popular. So Balance was definitely more Metallica, but doing stuff like something as a guy like Sonic. That was definitely more sound on it.
Yes.
The other bands after that one. So Red Jacket, again. So Blind Blue was really a mix of a lot of different styles. As far as the scene goes, it was pretty much. I'm sure there was like some popular local, some biohazard. I probably saw a lot of other not as well known Omnivore or whatever became of it. It was definitely influenced heavily by people at the local scene. I didn't go to much national acts until I was in college. First concert I did was that
Um, I think the big bands at that time in that scene, like Sick of It All, Biohazard. Do you remember Murphy's Law was always playing? If you looked at the ads in the back of the Village Voice at the time, it's like, when is Murphy's Law not playing?
yeah.
You know,
That
that
was
was. I mean, there were a few groups like that. Um, uh, can't remember. Think of It All was like one of the big ones, but one of the ones we used to follow. Oh man, Life of Agony.
oh yes, yes.
Remember that? Yeah. So that was sort of like a. I felt like that was sort of a scene band. Biohazard, like Life of Agony, Think of It All. Murphy's Law was, I think, like an older kind of like a hardcore punk New York hardcore thing. That was sort of still around, but like these other ones were more like metal and verging on like funk with their metal.
Yeah, I think a lot of that time, yeah, the Brooklyn team really fashion hardcore. And then not as much metal. There's different people. And then it switched to
Yeah,
but yeah, a lot
that,
of the people I hung out with, I think a lot of them like fashion presence during that time.
um, switch gears for a second from that. Let's have a few more things. Um, this is more about sort of like your impressions of um, your life playing out and a little bit of a tour life thing and stuff like that. Um, First up, did you have a favorite venue or place that you liked to play? I mean, it could have been with any of your bands, and you can name like a couple if you want. Just a place where you felt like either we do our homestand here, this is our place, or wow, the room is really great. The sound, like I remember Tramps was a place with like really great sound where it existed. Um, or wow, the people here are really great. They really work with you. Like, is there a place or two that was really? It didn't have to be New York. It could be anywhere.
Well, I mean, because the mindset's back in the day. Yeah, there was an orange there. And I think a lot of that sometimes has to do also with friendship.
I mean, I had fun there.
Yeah, it was a great time. I think it was just more because of like being love them. People like you, they sound good. So you sound good because they give a damn about you. Not like going to play at some of the other parties. Sound good. Yeah. See it all.
Well, that makes sense. That makes sense. If the staff there likes you,
Yeah.
it's going to be better for you there, right?
I mean, there's other, I guess maybe Wall Street clubs because you feel like when you play there, it's, oh, you're finally getting back. It's that the illusion. There's other leagues go to some place that you can play the sidewalk. So you can play. It was like really meant to play the games there. There's some other places right there in the house there. Clubs there. They come and go. That was the thing too, right? They open for a little while and then they don't have beer. But that was actually my financial district out there. I had to play someplace in the that's the east side. But the one that really stands out a lot was that
Sorry, what was that stadium you played? What was the name of it?
Soldier Stadium, Chicago. Yeah. But that's just the overall experience. I mean, that's just going to be, you know what I mean? It's like to get to that point where you get to play in stadiums.
Right. I mean, I have to put it. I mean,
Yeah, it's like, hey,
even if the environment, like in terms of it's got to be somewhat more impersonal than playing, let's say, Saturday Cafe or something like that. It's got to be one of the pinnacle things, right?
playing the stadium show.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, my I had come to the conclusion that I said if I can't be touring full-time musician, how should I work? So I want to try to get to a stay put on stage. Been on TV, I've been on the radio, I've been played stadium show. I've hit all the milestones band could do as a musician. Just keeping it consistent is a different story.
Right.
I saw a person that I used to play around recently. He played for Kelly Clarkson at the New Year's Eve show. One of those artists that played during the Napoleon New Year's Eve show that Kelly Clarkson. Someone I knew was on TV. Like, oh, I know that guy. It's like I used to play. He's an awesome bass player. He was kind of everything. You know, this dude's still doing it. He came over. Nuts, you know. Here in town, the other club I used to really enjoy playing. It was the same deal where it's like people who put up the show, promoted it. Every time we had a show that was just a really big show. Great lights, great sound, was great. Yeah, I was here at Nashville. Yeah, back in Brooklyn. The place we played the most was right.
Okay, well, let's shift it. We're kind of a bit tight on time, but let's shift it to the more experienced stuff. Um, well, actually, before we do that, just one quick question. You've been in a lot of groups, so it's kind of difficult to ask you this sort of a question, but that's a lot of groups. And so talk in general about management and booking and stuff like that. Like, in other words, did most of the like, let's do it like this. I'll ask you a question, then you'll give me the answer, then I'll ask another question and another answer. Um, let's make it more like a tight sort of a thing for this part because you're like, so what was the management like? And you were in like 6 bands. You know what I'm saying? Or like 7 or 8. It's a hard thing to do. So I'll ask you this. Um, did many of the groups you were in have an actual manager? Separate from the band personnel, I mean.
Yeah, I mean, almost all the bands I was in did not have.
Did any of them? None of them?
The worst is
Really?
I had some guy who presented himself as a manager. I got us to go down the gamma thing. That was about it.
But that kind of worked, right?
We worked because he knew someone that he went to school with that was looking for fixing that. So it kind of fell in his lap. It's not like he was actually working to get it for us. It's just like, hey, we got this opportunity.
Okay.
That was an interesting experience too. Playing a live show. Gotcha. Yeah,
I was just pass that. That's really funny to me.
it is. But
You
yeah, the
remember back,
sad truth is it was like, no, really.
so and booking agents and clubs, they dealt with band members trying to get themselves booked, and that was not an issue.
I never dealt with it, so I would say, I'm sure there were hurdles, but basically a musician submitting the band to the club, being persistent, calling back, calling up, hey, sure. That's how it works.
It worked out, is
Yeah.
what you're saying. Interesting. Okay. Um, let's see. Because I was going to ask a bunch of questions about that, but that is pretty self-explanatory. So I'll move on to another thing. Um, uh, in terms of the tours, I know Johnny Young. They had their own band, right? And any other tour did you go on? Did the bands always have their own van, or did they have to rent? Did they have a U-Haul attachment? What was the story?
And we usually someone in the band had a good
Okay, so that works out. Um, oh, by the way, side thing. When did you get your driver's license?
but she had a good
Did you get it? Did you get it specifically because of that sort of a thing, or did you get it just because?
because I needed it. There's no transportation.
Okay, so,
Yeah, I needed that license so I can go.
okay, so you just needed to drive. Okay. Um, da, 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 da. Um, in terms of eating, I remember because you're a bit of a fitness buff, and I know it sometimes you're into it more than others. But um, on the road, eating was an issue for you, wasn't it? Eating well.
A lot of times, like with the Johnny Young stuff, for instance, his wife was the manager. Would be considered that the manager. She did all the booking and touring. She would try to work in to do it. Places we played, we actually got food pocket. Right about it. So there was slight advantages to that. built it up well and had the roads and that innovation which Shell was well for. They really liked the band and they liked the story because Johnny was fine. So that was a little bit extra spin on it. But, oh yeah, and if I start thinking back to that band, there were some clubs that also same deal like clubs like local 304, 304, something like really like this. Always put us up. So we never had to pay for a hotel, we never had to pay for food. We did is because we went out exploring. We had a few days break or something. For the most part, we had like some sort of budget to try to get food. Yeah, I never went hungry. Never went thirsty either. But yeah, the clubs definitely provide food. So,
couple more questions. Did you okay? So was the feedback you were getting from the audience whenever you were on stage? This was from Brooklyn to Nashville, like the whole thing. That's important. You like people to appreciate the music and all that. Were there times where you felt, whatever group you were in, that the music was appreciated? You got a lot of feedback from the audience, and it was generally positive in the moment at the show. Is there any times like that stick out in your head?
Yeah, if I sit down and start thinking about it.
Sorry, play what? Can you repeat that? Played what?
Oh, so if I sit down and start to think about it, definitely. It is not like one particular. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
but yeah, the response was good.
I'd seen you with, let me go back to the list quickly. I'd seen you with, I think In Too Deep, definitely Red Jacket, So we're also friends with Lisa, right? So, Johnny Young, a lot of Sublime group shows. A lot of them at the Orange Fair. One time with the Worsties. I think it was like me, Dina, and Lisa came out. And I don't remember if Jax was there or not, but I remember the three of us at least were there. I think that's it. The only other times, of course, I've seen you is when you were playing in those things those parties I used to throw. I had you and Ed come over one New Year's Eve to play the house. I don't know if you remember that.
Oh, you remember Jairo's Happy Face?
Yeah!
I forgot about that. It's hard for me to call that a real band. It's like he was just Bob was just a singer, songwriter. It was just me and him.
Yeah, that brings me back. I totally forgot about Jairo's Happy Face. But so yeah, I've seen you personally play a bunch of times. I've seen you in a bunch of the bands you were with. A lot of the really good feedback I saw was with Ed, the Blind Groove. I think people really appreciated those shows. I think that music you can move to more, of course, especially with the ladies, unless it's more of a response, I think, right?
I mean, I think it was also his voice, he had a very unique voice that certain groups just considered a high quality. Nothing huge compared to his voice. I forgot what some famous Spanish thing he has. So I think people just really enjoyed that too. When the band started to jam, Because I do
Yeah.
people dancing into it. So there's always a good response to that. Yeah, definitely better than the Japanese. So, I don't recall ever making a really great show. But that was like a Brooklyn considering we had trainers. So I was seeing was a former model. They had this built-in crowd of people. Yeah.
I have another question. Um, this question impacts sort of like why I'm even doing this project I'm doing. And I'll go into that off air, quickly. But uh, did you feel being of what do we call you, Hispanic descent? I guess we can go with that. Your parents are from Guatemala, which is Central America, right? So, did you feel like an impact being in any of the scenes that you were in? I mean, fully knowing that there were, there was Bad Brains, which is an all black crew that did folklore. There's Suicidal Tendencies, a lot of stuff out from LA. Had a lot of like either Native American or Hispanic sort of influence in people in those groups. But you personally, did your race impact much in how you got along in all of these scenes that you've been through?
For me, no. And so when people probably never gets me to Hispanic, until I exposed to the neutral public. People were passing by and I didn't buy it. So, they more unique. I mean, my dad listened to a lot of Spanish music. But surprisingly, he also was into podcasts and natural culture. He also liked it. But no, going from my background, I don't. I was never really connected that way to that culture. Guatemala. Listen to some of the music. I
I mean, if somebody saw you on stage, they wouldn't necessarily know much about you in terms of your ethnicity anyway, right?
I think people would guess me to be of some good descent.
Something.
Uh,
He's something. I don't know what it is.
yeah, I mean, I got a mixed bag of something. Only recently when I had my sister do the DNA stuff. Now I can't go. So that's but no, but even identifying more with the Hispanic culture. Uh, yeah, I don't think we really had it. Maybe I didn't. So thinking about it, to really listen to it. I don't think I had a picture of it.
Okay. Well, thanks for that. The last thing that I wanted to cover was if first off, general impressions of the music scene, somewhere in the mid '90s, and how you felt being involved. And the last thing would be um, what you think about the state of the industry now. I mean, industry meaning like touring and just if not touring, playing out and sort of well, the, the general idea is that people used to make money on record sales and singles, and radio play was important because they drove sales. Now, of course, we have streaming, and Record play is less important. Artists now make their money off of touring and doing shows, and ancillary stuff like merch. They did then too, but now there's the 360 record deal, right? And that's the thing that's out now, pioneered by Leo Cohen, the guy who used to be at Def Jam, and they want a piece of all of it, right? They want a piece of merchandising, they want a piece of everything, but they'll put money into you. They want you to hit big, but they take a piece of everything now. You used to do merch with some bands. We sell T-shirts, and that goes into our own coffers. They would get a piece of that now. So I think people are just sort of like, you have independent artists now, sort of the networks are there. We've got the internet, and you're able to sort of do the thing. So the scene that I used to run around in and we were somewhat involved in, like I said, you've been in different bands. That's why I said somewhat involved. And kind of, oh, we're doing rock here. We're doing like this other thing here. That was a sort of different level of the industry. But I just wonder if you have an opinion about the way things were then versus the way things are now, and then maybe talk about it on a personal level for you.
Yeah, I mean, technology's had a big influence. Now it's almost oversaturated with all the music you have exposed to. At the same time, it's also helped independent people like me get out the retail without having to shell out thousands of dollars to go to it. Having pros and cons. As far as like working with it, the bread part was always you had to get on tour. That's how you get your exposure. Lucky to get privileged with that amazing opportunity. Put your music on shows and all that too. I would with the technology the way it is, I think ultimately the industry is still going to find ways to screw the musician over. So it's just different. But yeah, I'm sort of separated with that, but I'm realizing now too that even people breaking this other aspect of music is probably going to be as difficult as it was being a band trying, because it's one of those small list of people who are going to get big jobs. Those people trickles down to almost every industry. Same with session players internationally. All good people, but because that circle work is so small, it's hard to break in at a high level. So sometimes it is really about eating. I want to play. And I think that the same applies to the industry. Back then, even now, it's probably harder to break in. With so many divisions. Like after the band broke up, the Ruiz broke up, the singer after the band that got signed on the record record. And she presumably fulfilled accomplished the goal that we wanted as a band. Sad news from that is that to realize that dream, 8% before I was basically almost homeless. So it's a reality that keeps repeating itself. Back then to now. I feel personally, I feel fortunate to have lived in that ancient place. As if from previous musicians, through their books, the biographies or whatever. Don't put all your eggs in your basket. Don't think just because you're sign and live the rest of your life. Smart. And be proactive. So that's what I feel like I transition to. Probably will not try to do a record deal. Sublime, Subway Lights may have been the last, attempt at that. And then we were still looking at a really steep hill probably 20 before it even break. No one gets signed by the So yeah, that's all. The days of being discovered, even on YouTube, like what's his face? There's a family. Some of the artists were discovered on YouTube. And that's still a music. Basically, anything that saves the music, the record company's money, work for you, talent, they'll take it. Right?
Right.
But yeah, as far as making it, my goals have switched. The industry's always been the same. It's always adapted itself. It's just not different. That. There'll never be another YouTube, there'll never be another outro. At least that's the shared thing. Anything that's pop, it's shared. To that level, Jay-Z, a lot of these people had to build from how long ago, to where they are now. 30 years. You got to be in it for that long.
Yeah.
The only chance you really had was if you actually had parents that were musicians or knew the industry and gave you advice at an early age. This, well, if you're going to do this, you're going to get money, tax, and build you up. Stick to it. Very hard to do advice. So Dad, I want to be a rock singer. Yeah, well, I can tell you how it really is.
Yeah. I think that was it, though. Thank you for that. That was very helpful too. Try to sort of like get a good feel of um, where you would, where you were and what you've seen over time, like the trend. So that was very helpful. Thank you. The very last thing, because we're up on a little bit over time, and I think I hear my son running around like a maniac. Uh, the very last thing is, would you, if someone were to, well, if someone were to survey your entire career in music, because you have a separate career where you make your money, right? But the things you do with your music, you didn't seem to fall into many pitfalls. I mean, we all drank a little bit too much at a certain time and stuff, and may have dabbled in other things, whatever. But would you say that was it difficult for you to sort of stay on the straight and narrow path and not end up like a lot of these musicians that we see?
See, I mean, I didn't talk to artists. So, I mean, that's good. Drug use is usually one of those things that really sidetrack musicians. It's just all distractions. That basically it's doing basically.
Simmons.
But yeah, he was one of the straight edge. There was also straight edge scene. Music and punk that never with drugs and alcohol. Yeah, I mean, he's somewhere involved too. It's like all those are distractions. You want to make music is a business. So, but, anyway. Yeah, I mean, I think my distractions were booze and women. Personally, I probably would have done farther than I had dedicated more time to do it. I've had these conversations with you.
Yes.
Talk about it. I definitely would have been at the upper stage had I had so many distractions.
And for you, your ultimate vice was distractions, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Like don't be distracted, but not to be negative. Back in the day, people say, "Oh, just don't." They're not winning. It's not winning. It's just you gotta you definitely express your goals, what your expectations are. Decide not to have those distractions. To go about it, or the person who's going to be able to support you. But that's different. Side of it. Yeah, don't have distractions. You know, that's the big one. Just focus on the craft. Yeah. But yeah, you know, I had a sort of morbid fantasy with fascination with Jim Morrison. I didn't do drugs though. My dad did beat it into my head, and I hope. But drinking still got the better of me.
Yeah.
Probably success. But it wasn't just me. It definitely was quality of music and quality.
Of course.
I had some
Okay.
guiding.
I mean, like I said, a lot of us had our things, and we know people who got into more than just drink. So, in common, we know some people who did that. So, what I'm going to take from that is the distraction piece. I think that's incredibly important. And if I could ever convey that to anybody else who is interested in maybe going this very difficult route of music, I think that would be it. I think drugs, alcohol, all of that, women, all, for guys, it's regular. All of that.
Relationship.
Into that.
Any relationship, let's put it that way. It's not to be just really relationship. You have to that person. There is part of the trip, part of the journey, whether she is the manager or Johnny Young and Michelle. They had a perfect partnership because she was the manager, she did all the bookings, all the other stuff that Johnny did. That was really something outside of that, something else. Probably best to figure out what that person then distraction coming out. So yeah, limiting the far a long way before the opening be a star that has its own people. So
Okay. Well, I thank you very much. I'm going to stop the broadcast and then we'll talk a little bit off of the actual recording. And I'll explain a couple of other things. So this was the interview with Jairo Ruiz on his life in music. And if you have any follow-ups, maybe we'll get back together. Thanks, Jairo.